so today's video is going to be a tutorial. I know you guys have been asking me in the comments to do a tutorial for a long time, and I don't know if you guys know this, but tutorials are actually one of the hardest videos to film for a beauty YouTube channel. If you have your own channel, I'm sure you know this, but tutorials are the most labor intensive. They take the longest time to film. And don't get me wrong, I will always oblige to make whatever content you guys would like to see, but tutorials, I feel like they take a long time to film, they take a lot of effort to edit. They're probably the longest video to actually produce, and they actually don't get a lot of views. So I only like to make them when I really feel passionate about what I'm wanting to make. So today's tutorial I am very excited about. This is my prom 2018 makeup tutorial. So this is the prom look I created. I really hope you guys like it. And in this video, I'm going to be creating my prom look, basically testing out what I'm gonna be wearing to prom this year. And then I'm actually wearing one of the prom dresses right now, but you guys are gonna help me pick out which prom dress I'm gonna wear. I have it narrowed down to 2 options in my closet, so I will be showing you guys the prom dresses at the end of the video, and then you guys can vote which prom dress I should wear. So I hope you guys enjoyed this prom tutorial and the fun little twist at the end, and let's get right into the makeup look. Okay, so I have my hair pinned back. Obviously I have this little tissue here. That's to keep my hair from creasing with the bobby pin in there. And let's get started off with brows. Normally I never do my brows on camera when I'm doing a tutorial, but I mean today's a full talk through prom tutorial, so I thought it was only fair to do my brows on camera. Today I'm using my holy combination, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in Ash Brown, and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in dark brown. So together, these just make the most perfect combination for the most beautiful brows in my life. I use the Dip Brow on the daily, and I use the Anastasia Brow Wiz when I just want to get really nice, precise hairs. So today, I'm basically just using all my favorite best of the best products because I do want my prom makeup to turn out perfectly. Just gonna go in with the spoolie and brush through my brows real quick. Now I'm gonna go into the Dip Brow pomade. I just lightly dip in there. You really do not want to go too heavy-handed. And I'm just gonna start making light brush strokes on the underside of my brow, just filling in the gaps of where my hairs are sparse. This part's really just to create a framework for the brows. And then when we go in to blend everything later with the spoolie and then use the Brow Wiz, we're going to be creating precise brow hairs. So I'm just going to take the spoolie and blend through the product, and this will just help diffuse the Dip Brow through the brows. Now I'm going to go in with the Brow Wiz pencil and just fill in the front of my brows. Alright, so that is the finished brow. It's nice and light and feathery. As you can see, it's a lot more defined than this one, and we have a lot more hairs in here. So I'm just going to do this other brow off camera, and then we'll move on to eyeshadow. Now I'm going to prime my eyes using my Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Fix. This one's my favorite, just sets down a really good base. So we just swipe it on like concealer. And then I'm going to use my AOA Studio E104 brush. Sweeping motions, just going to blend it out. And then a trick that I've been loving lately is actually not setting my eyelid primer with any powders and just instead going in a patting motion like this. That way you really will be able to get full pigmentation out of your shadows because the base is still a little bit tacky, but setting it like this just by tapping your brush is great. I got this tip from P. Louise Makeup Academy on Instagram, my favorite Instagram page for makeup looks. Okay, so it's been like a good 45 minutes. I just wanted to do this eye first just so I could know what I was gonna present to you guys here on camera. But to do the eyeshadow look, we are using one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Actually, probably like in my top 2 favorites. Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. So this is a classic. Immediately, I wanted to use the neutral, like soft glam colors in here. Obviously, you can use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. I actually used a lot of the colors that are actually in the Soft Glam palette on my eyes today. So yeah, you can totally use that palette if you want to. I'm using Modern Renaissance because I don't have the Soft Glam yet. But yeah, let's get right into this eye look. I hope you guys like this one. I'm gonna go in with my Elizabeth Mott blending brush into the shade here called Golden Ochre. This is my favorite like warm transition. Just lightly buffing it in, going in circular blending motions. The real trick here with any eyeshadow look is you wanna be like barely even touching your eye. And I know that sounds weird, but honestly, the brush will do all the work for you. Take your time, just relax. You don't need to go in with a very hard hand. You don't need to swirl your brush into anything. Just let the tools do their work. I'm going to go into the shade here, Raw Sienna. This is just going to add a little bit more depth to the transition shade here. So just brushing this right where we placed Golden Ochre, kind of above it, Golden Ochre was like our base of warmth, and then Raw Sienna is really going to be our actual transition shade. With more colorful eyeshadow looks, I will actually forego a transition shade, just place my color straight on the lid and then blend out the edges. But with like kind of brown looks or looks that are gonna require a lot of colors to create a lot of depth, I do like to go in with a transition just to make sure everything looks like it's blended out onto the eyes, because I find that if I'm using brown shadows in particular, if I don't use a transition shade, it can start to look like muddy on the eyes, and I do never want that. So this look, we are using like a ton of colors in this eye look, but everything is blended out. It's not gonna look muddy. Sometimes I have those eye looks where I'm doing it and I'm just like, oh my god, this looks horrible, it's gonna be terrible, and then once I add on the finishing touches, which is like usually glitter or eyelashes or whatever, everything just comes together and it looks fine. So this is one of those eye looks where up until you add this little glitter thing here on the crease, it kind of just looks incomplete. And then when you add it on, it's just perfect. So I also like taking a clean blending brush and just kind of going in and diffusing the edges. This is just gonna give that extra blend to the transition shade and just make sure everything is diffused nicely. And then I'm going to go in with the same Glamour Dolls brush, go into the shade here, Burnt Orange, which was right next to Raw Sienna. Fluff this in there as well, just underneath where we placed Raw Sienna and Golden Ochre. This is just going to add even more depth and a little bit of warmth as well. And then, yes, again with the same brush, haven't even like switched it out or anything. I'm gonna go into the shade here, Cypress Umber, and this is going to deepen up the outer corner. As you can see, we have a nice brown depth down here. So just going in with a tiny bit, you really do not need a lot. Very light-handed. First, I like to pat down the color, just deposit it onto the eyes. Once there's very little left on our brush, then we're going to just blend it out into the outer corner. This takes a while. You really want to be nice and precise when you're layering on the shadow, because I find that if you go in with way too much or you start blending too early, it's gonna turn muddy. So really take your time with this color. You want it to be nice and perfect. Once you've got it nice and deepened up, take whatever's left on the brush and just kind of sweep it lightly through where you put Burnt Orange. Now it's time to cut the crease, so I'm gonna go in with my Tarte Shape Tape. You really just need a tiny, tiny amount of this concealer. And then I have my AOA Studio F16 brush. A tiny amount of concealer and just lightly draw a line down the center. Obviously it doesn't need to be perfect, it's really just a trace line, so for where we're going to place the shadows, it's not going to really show through the shadows once we put them down, so cut crease doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but it's really good to get it nice and precise so that we know where we're going to put the shadows. So I'm taking a flat shader brush and I'm actually going to want to dampen it, so I have a little spray bottle of just water. You can use setting spray if you want to. Water's obviously cheaper because water's free. Now I'm going to go into the shade here, Primavera. It's a nice shimmery gold shade. It's very like soft. It's not quite as foiled as like other shimmer shadows, and I think that the softness of the shadow is perfect for the look, because we don't necessarily want anything that's going to be like straight up glitter on the eyes. This is really just a soft glam look. We are adding a touch of glitter, obviously, just to tie everything together, but the shimmer shade on the eyes should be nice and soft. We're just kind of tracing it where the cut crease was, just patting it on top. To blend the Cypress Umber and the Primavera shade together, Antique Bronze, just with the same brush, you really only need a tiny, tiny amount. And we're just gonna pat it on right where Primavera and Cypress Umber meet. Just add a little bit of Antique Bronze. And this is just gonna create that ombre effect that blends together the gold and the brown with a nice bronze color. I'm just gonna go back in with Primavera over the top just to intensify the color a bit, since it is such a soft shimmer shade. Now, again with my Glamour Dolls brush, go back into Cypress Umber, just deepen up the outer corner, add a little bit more intensity. Again, we're using that same pat, then blend technique. This time, since we already have color deposited, it's a little bit easier. Blending this with where we placed Antique Bronze, and then diffusing what little we have left on the brush into the outer corner. The Stila Glitter and Glow shadow in Kitten Karma. This is one of my favorite. It's probably like the easiest way to use glitter. You can use loose glitter if you want to. Personally, I prefer working with loose glitter, but I wanted to use the Stila glitters in this tutorial because I know that they're a lot easier to work with than loose glitter. No, they're also a little bit less messy to work with. So I take a little bit on a very precise brush and just right above on the line of the cut crease where it meets the matte shadows. Optional, you can just leave it with the regular cut crease if you want to, but I like the effect that this gives. Alright, so that is the completed eye look. We're going to come back in with the Modern Renaissance and just do the lower lash line after we do the complexion. So let's move on to that. So I'm just priming my face with Too Faced Hangover RX. This is just one of my favorite hydrating primers. Really sets down a good base. And today I'm going for more of a dewy complexion look. I do want my skin to look nice and like glowy and kind of fresh for this prom look, so yeah. And for foundation, I'm actually mixing together two foundations. So I'm mixing the Dior Skin Forever and the Burt's Bees Goodness Glows. So I know that the Dior foundation is actually not cruelty-free. I was told by the Sephora lady that Dior was cruelty-free, so I bought a ton of stuff from them, and then I found out later that they do actually test on animals. But I really love this foundation, and I still have this in my collection. I did spend money on it, so it's really good. It's a really, really amazing foundation. Would I repurchase it? Obviously not. I wouldn't repurchase it from Dior itself. If I were to repurchase it, I would buy it on Poshmark, so I wouldn't actually be giving my money to Dior and supporting their company. But it is a really great foundation, and I just love how this makes my skin, so I really did want to use this one on my prom look. And then it is a little bit darker on me, so I like to mix it with the Burt's Bees Goodness Glows. It just creates the most beautiful, like dewy, almost like Jaclyn Hill-esque skin look, so I'm going to mix these two together for this look. I know this must look significantly lighter than my skin tone. In person, it's actually a lot better of a shade match, and trust me, once it's all blended in, it really is the color of my actual face, I promise. So for concealer, I'm going in with Tarte Shape Tape. I just want everything to stay nice and concealed all night long, so Tarte Shape Tape is really the way I'm going to go. Obviously, I'm using very, very little. You really do not need a ton with this concealer. Now I'm going to go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit. I'm going to use the shades Shadow and Mink here. I'm just going to dot a little bit right here, right under my cheekbone, and this is where we're going to contour. And just blend everything out. I'm going in with Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder and Lace. This is like a soft, kind of banana-ish color. It is super messy because there is no diffuser, but I'm just going to go in here and lightly bake the under eyes. And then with my Laura Mercier translucent powder, just going to set all over the face. So now for bronzer, I'm going into the e.l.f. Total Face Palette, and I'm going to go into the bronzer shade right here. It's my favorite bronzer shade. This is going to add a light amount of warmth to the face, a little bit more definition. I'm just dusting it right above where I placed the cream contour and the translucent powder. Now for blush, I'm going to go into the Becca and Jaclyn Hill palette. I know this is not available anymore. I believe that the Becca, the blushes are still available in singles. But I'm going to go into the shade, which one is it? Rosé Spritz. It's a nice kind of like almost dewy, kind of shimmery rose color. So I'm just blending it on top of where we placed the bronzer, really trying to kind of meld it in there. And then for highlight, I'm going to use Becca Champagne Pop. So I had to use this one. I think this is the perfect color just for almost any day. It really does look sun-kissed. I was going to use the Anastasia Amrezy highlighter because, you know, I love that one. Champagne Pop, I feel like I haven't used it a while in my channel, and it's just really pretty, so. I'm gonna go back into the Modern Renaissance palette. I'm gonna reach into Cypress Umber with my Sephora Precision Powder Shadow Brush. With my e.l.f. Detail Crease Brush, I'm gonna go into Burnt Orange and just fluff out what we put down with Cypress Umber. I'm gonna curl my lashes with the Shea Umura Eyelash Curler. I just realized I forgot inner corner highlight, so I'm going to go into the shade Vermeer. For mascara, I'm going in with the Essence Lash Princess Sculpted Volume Mascara. Mascara is on, and now I want to go in with some false lashes. So today I am using, here's my Morphe lash book, and I'm not sure what style to use. So I want to go in with something a little bit wispier and more natural looking, but also nice and dramatic, because you know, prom. Today I'm going to use these ones here called Sophisticated. These ones are so pretty. Just grabbing my House of Lashes lash adhesive, just brush some of that on, and then wait for it to dry. I really like these. They're very dramatic and long, but since we have such a high cut crease, it's not going to cover up the work we did, so I think these are perfect for the eye look. Alright, so now for the final touch, which is lipstick. I'm going to go in with my favorite, the Pat McGrath Omi lipstick. When I was thinking about what I wanted to wear for this look, the first thing that popped in my mind was Omi. This is my favorite lip color in my entire collection. I'm just going to add a little bit of the KKW Beauty Ultralight Beam Gloss in Rose Gold, just on the center of the lips to add a little bit of extra juiciness. So this is the completed prom look. I think it's a really beautiful soft glam. And now for the part that you've all been waiting for, I'm going to go put on my prom dress and show you guys the completed look. Dress number 1 is this lavender midi dress from ASOS Petite. I love this one. I think it's really soft and romantic. I'm pairing it with a blush pink Tory Burch bag, and I feel like such a princess. It's one of the few midi dresses that I've tried that doesn't make me look super short. For those wondering, I'm only 5'0", so I'll definitely be wearing stilettos at any chance I can get, but I love this dress, and I think it's really pretty. Dress number 2 is this vintage Yves Saint Laurent velvet black gown from the 80s that I found in a vintage shop. It's really so simple, just a long black gown with a high slit. I just love how it's such a different aesthetic from the lavender one. This one I'll pair with a black Chanel bag and some red bottom bloody shoes. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed my prom makeup tutorial. This took me like 3 hours to film. I've been filming for a long time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now it's up to you to decide what prom dress I wear to prom. Should I wear the black one or the purple one that I'm wearing right now? Please let me know in the comments or on the poll in the card. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you vote which prom dress to wear. Yeah, if you made it to the very end of this video, I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching my channel.